Live. Hi, friends. How are you? I'm glad you're here today. We are going to talk about pitch today. This is the name of the broadcast. I hope you are well. Today, I was reading. I was reading 7.5 lessons about the brain, which are rereading because I read them first and I highlight in dog ear and all that stuff with paper books, and then I go back and I look at them. So she's my most recent nerd crush. And so I'm reading this. And my dog, Sandy the dog, is having none of it. And she's like snouting me, right? She's pushing me with her snout. Until I explained to her that the book I was reading told me that I am no better than she is. That I'm just adapted differently than she is. And literally, she looked at me and walked away. She was like, okay, all right then. As long as we understand each other. It was pretty funny. Anyway, I just had to share that with you because it was really funny. Anyway, I'm glad to be here with you today. I will not be broadcasting next week, just so you know, because I will be out of town. And I'm sorry I will miss you next Monday, but I will be here. I'm here today, and I will be here the following Monday on April 5th. This week's subject was inspired by Brian Witkowski. I still don't know if he says Witkowski or Witkowski, but whatever. Brian, of The Lucrative Artist. So Brian is a voice teacher. Besides having the business, The Lucrative Artist, he is also a voice teacher, and he posted this question about pitchiness in a voice teacher forum, and it prompted a very lively discussion about what is pitchiness and how to address it and the language we use around pitch for singers. And, of course, it veered off the actual topic, but there were some good nuggets in there because it is a thing, right? It's a thing. We know when our students are not in tune. Sometimes we call them on it. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we pick our battles, and that's not our battle of the day. Because sometimes, how can you ask them to improve this thing if you can't really explain to them what it is you're asking for? And that happens. So what does it mean to be in tune? You want them to understand, but you may not explain it in a way that they can wrap their brains around, or you may not be clear on it yourself, because that happens. Because a lot of times people just throw around words like being in tune and supporting your tone and stuff like that, and you never get totally clear about what that actually means. So it would be like the voice teacher who says, just sing better, Not helpful. I would say that is not a helpful thing. So I saw a subject just waiting to be discussed and a reason to do some science homework because, I love to do some science homework. And now, so I've done a certain amount of recording studio work in my career. So I already know a certain amount about this subject because in the recording studio, being in tune is a big deal, which you might not think nowadays because auto-tune is all over the place on all recordings everywhere. But no, it actually is a big deal. And chatting with a recording engineer is quite a different thing from explaining pitch to my students. Different kettle of fish. So I'm guessing you feel me on that one. So I use this as an excuse to do a little bit of science digging, which I love, and a reason to make visual aids in Canva, which you may not know I love, but I do. And we're going to pick this thing apart. So, wait, I have, where's my trigger word? Is that it? Nope. There we go. I do not have a freebie this week because I didn't get it done in time. Because I'm going to make an article that sums up what I'm going to talk about today in a nice little package. and I'm going to send that article to the people on my mailing list. So if you want that article complete with the nice art, which you will see in this broadcast, if you're on my mailing list, you will get it. And if you want to be on my mailing list, then put Pitchy in the comments, and God's willing, the neurovocal bot will send you a link to take you to the email sign up, and then you will get in your inbox, you will get that nice little article with the art. Plus, you should just be on my email list because it's a good email list. I don't send too much, and the stuff I send is either announcements about these things or good stuff that you want. Anyway, so be on my email list. I'm Meredith Colby, and I help voice teachers create confident teaching and singing of contemporary styles. I am thanks for the thumbs up on the email list situation. I am the author of Money Notes, How to Sing High, Loud, Healthy, and Forever, which introduces neurovocal method, a way to create healthy singing for microphone music that is based on brain science. You will find me right here on Facebook every Monday, or on the replay if you're not available on Monday. You can also find me scattered around cyberspace on blogs and podcasts, and at my website, meredithcolby.com. Tricky name, right? meredithcolby.com. So you guys, if you're here for the first time, then you should just know, but you're probably not anyway, that Facebook loves when people interact with me. They reward me for that. So do me a favor, do me the huge favor, a thumb, a heart, a comment, anything, okay? So it really helps me out when you are generous with the likes and the hearts and the comments and the whatever, because algorithms. Anyway, there's Elspeth. It's worth being on your mailing list. Thank you, Elspeth. Thank you for the amen. It is. It's not a busy mailing list, but stuff comes. Good stuff comes. So now let's go. Where's my default? There we go. So now let's talk pitch. I've done all my stuff. Let's talk pitch. When we think about singing notes, we think about that. And, that would be fine if we were piano teachers, because piano is a percussion instrument. When you hit the key, you get that pitch. Loud or soft version of that pitch, you cannot. Oh, Rita loves being on my mailing list too. Rita not only appreciates it, but loves it. So thanks, Rita. Very nice of you. So, right. So here we are. That is what we understand a note to be. And those of us who read a little bit of music, either very fluently or just enough to be dangerous, when we think of being in tune, we tend to think about that, the note, a note. And that can get us in trouble both as singers and as teachers, because that is not the reality for us with our incredible instruments that we have. What a pitch actually is for us is this, much more like that. It is a continuum from one point to another. And every pitch has a certain degree along their continuum, and we as singers are capable of hitting that pitch anywhere along that continuum, which is crazy. Not every instrument can do that. Very few instruments can do it like we can. In fact, probably none. Not sure, but I'm going to guess it's none. Oh, wait a minute. I need to get rid of this. Excuse me a second, because I have good pictures and I want you to see them. Okay. All right. So the way we measure those distances is in hertz. And hertz is a unit of frequency that measures 1 cycle per second. And so, for instance, when you hear the term A440, what you are hearing is a number of hertz. So 440 cycles per second. It is a way that musicians understand frequency that doesn't take all of the variables of frequency into account. Because frequency is crazy, you guys. When you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll be like, what? So just hertz is the way we measure cycles per second. And so that's what I'm going to use today to talk to you about pitch. Okay, so, honest to God. Okay, so this is that same spectrum, but I indicated the octave, okay? So this is B2, C3, and C sharp 3. And as you can see, there is a difference between the middle of B2 and C3 and C3 and C sharp 3. It got bigger. That distance along that continuum got bigger because that's how it works. And you can see here, the middle isn't, and the distance between these things here, right, where a B turns into a C, it stretches out. It gets bigger as you go higher. In fact, here we go. Is this my thing? There we go. See, I made visual aids today. I hope you can see them. If you're on your phone, you probably can't. But this is B2. So the difference between B2 to C3 and B3 to C4 is almost twice as much. And by the way, some of these hertz are actually 0.5, but I rounded them off. So this isn't exactly engineer level, right? But it's really close. So from B2 to C3 the distance is 15 hertz, 15 cycles per second. Thank you for the compliment on my visuals, Elspeth. And from B3 to C4 is almost twice that many hertz. So things speed up as we go higher, which we know, but it's really important to keep that in mind because that means these continuums also change and become more specific as we go higher. So when we talk about being in tune, so you can see that in my lovely visuals, I have indicated the center of each pitch. So technically, being in tune on a C4 is to phonate, for a singer, phonate on 523 hertz per second. Exactly. That's exactly in tune. And you know what? There are people who can do that and can do that really reliably. I don't know how they do it, but they are. But in the real world of music, in tune is this much space, right? It would be anywhere sort of in the middle of that continuum. Too far to the south of it is flat, too far to the north of it is sharp. And we know when we hear that, we know when they're a little bit flat, we know when they're a little bit sharp, but it's hard to explain it to them if they're thinking of notes as as this. If you're thinking of that as a note, it's really hard to explain flat and sharp. But if you can explain it to them this way, then it makes a little bit more sense. So there is a range of in tune that's in tune. So if your singer hits a middle C and it's anywhere in that range, they're in tune. And different people tend to feel pitches in different spots along that continuum, particularly singers who are really great and really in tune. So I wonder if I have that. Yes, I do. Okay. So, for instance, if you are somebody who always feels the pitch at this point along the continuum, so you always feel, you're always in the range of in tune, but just kind of on the back side. but you are consistent, and that is where you fall most of all of the time, pretty much all of the time, then you are Mary J. Blige, or you are Michael Bublé. There is a sort of I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. Oh, Billie Holiday. She was one of the people that was famous for this, and Chet Baker also was almost like just hinting at going out of tune all the time, but never did because he was so far on the backside, and it gave his singing this really lazy, sexy feel to it that was really cool. But that's just where he felt the pitch. Now, if you were somebody like Ariana Grande, who has amazing pitch, so when I say she has amazing pitch, what I mean is, if I could move this arrow, which I can't, over to the other side of that pink squish, the pink bit there, that's where she would fall. She's just always on the upside of in tune at exactly the same spot along the continuum, every single freaking note that she sings. She just has incredible pitch. And so it's just a really interesting thing. Now, there are a couple versions of pitchy. So sometimes we talk about singers being pitchy. And so that's being pitchy is not the same as being flat or not the same as being sharp. Because typically when we talk about somebody being flat, it's usually on a pitch for singers. It's on a note that they're holding out, right? So they've either not heard it correctly, or they're anticipating it with too much tension, and so they come in under the pitch, or they don't keep the energy moving at an even keel, so then they kind of die off as they're holding the pitch. So usually those held notes are flat or sharp. Right? Sharp notes are sometimes at the top of the phrase because the singer's given it too much and they kind of go a little bit sharp. So we know flat and sharp. Pitchy is a thing that happens with singers all the time. And that is, here's one version of it. And that is, as a singer, I do not have a good sense of pitch. I don't have a sense of where is the middle of a pitch. Now, if you have singers who played piano before they started to sing, they pretty much never have this problem because they really have a good sense of where is the middle of a pitch. But singers who started as singers are often, maybe not frequently, but certainly often, this kind of pitchy. Like, I don't understand that pitches are a continuum. So I think that anything that I hit that's kind of in the range of that, where the melody goes, is close enough. And singers notoriously do not have an understanding of that. And so they'll hit, you can see I have these markers on these sort of random spots along the continuum that represents a given pitch. And that makes people pitchy, makes them sound weird when they sing. You may have fallen prey to that yourself. I know I have, on days when I maybe I wasn't a good dog. I didn't do the things I was supposed to do as a singer. Another way to be pitchy is to sort of move around. So I mentioned the singer who's flat or sharp on a held note. Sometimes singers just kind of, since they don't have a sense of a pitch having a middle, they kind of just move around in generally the middle range. It counts as being in tune, but they're not locked. And as listeners, we like when a singer's holding a note out, we like to hear that pitch locked. If you ask a regular person, what is it about this that you don't like if a person's pitchy in this way that I'm indicating here, they won't be able to say what it is, but it's not as exciting a sound. It doesn't grab them. It doesn't speak to them. So that's another version of pitchy. How am I doing? Oh, I'm doing okay. Okay, so if you understand pitch in that way and you can explain it to your students in that way, then they have that tool to understand that. But then you, as the teacher, have to be able to discern and talk about, well, Okay, so they have a pitch problem. Is there a pitch problem? Or they sometimes have a pitch problem. Is there a pitch problem in their brain? Is it in their technique? Or both? Because it shows up in both places for singers. Elizabeth Howard sent me an email this morning, and she pointed out a couple of things that will create bad pitch in singers who have naturally basically good pitch. So Elizabeth sent me a comment here, and I'm going to share it. So Elspeth said, I always figured that people use the term pitchy because they don't know whether the singer was flat or sharp. Okay. Yes. So you're talking about if somebody says somebody is pitchy, it's because they can distinguish that the singer wasn't in the middle of the pitch, but they don't have the acuity to distinguish whether they were high outside the pitch or low outside the pitch. Okay, yes, I think that's really fair, and I probably should have included that. I was thinking like a musician, Elspeth. What can I say? Because I think you guys know. I want to think that you know if they're flat or sharp. Technique. So is it in their brain or their technique or both? So the thing that I just showed you, thank you for the thumbs up, arming them with that knowledge of what is a pitch and how pitch can work is really helpful, especially for your ambitious singers or your talented singers, right? So not necessarily the person who's just dabbling a little or just seeing if they like it, because that's at a level of musicianship that they may not care about. But for your people who are more ambitious or talented, that's going to make a big difference. That understanding can be really helpful to them. So then you can talk about, how are you hearing things? What I like to call ear larynx coordination. Like let's tune this up. Let's look for the middle. Let's feel what happens when we are pitchy versus when we find the middle of that pitch and just hang in there. So there's that. And then there's the technique. When somebody is somebody pitchy consistently on a B natural? That would be something to look at. Is somebody consistently pitchy on an E natural? Again, that looks like a technique thing. Explaining to people about how compound vowels, sometimes we anticipate that the closing off of the I, right? Or we anticipate the R. My favorite sound there is to sing. Okay, I'm being totally sarcastic. It is the worst sound to sing is the American R. Oh, Lord. So if you're anticipating the R in the word Lord, you're going to go Lord, right? So that's going to affect your pitch too. That's a technique thing. So there are things in people's technique that are going to affect their pitch. But if you, as the voice teacher, have addressed these technical issues and still they're not in tune, then we may have a brain problem. We may have I don't really understand what in tune is, and or I do not have the chops to fix it. And then you're talking about a brain problem. So, and that's something that people really kind of have to work on over time. And I wish that I could say that that was not the case, but it is. When you're trying to fix pitch issues from a can you even hear it correctly perspective, then you're talking about something that needs to happen in 5 to 15 minute increments, 5 to 6 days a week. And more importantly, somebody has to want to do it. They have to understand that it is important and why it is important. Again, getting to your more ambitious or talented singers, they have to understand that it's important, why it's important, and then they have to want to do it. So I think when I say that, you know what percentage of your students I'm talking about. Anyway, so that's our little talk. That's my little talk about pitch today. And I don't really have much more to say unless you guys have questions or comments that you want to throw up there. I am probably going to sign up. And I will send, again, thank you for the heart, whoever did that. I love that. Again, if you want to be on my mailing list and you want the written version of this with my lovely graphics, put Pitchy in the comments, and my bot will bring you to my email sign-up page. And then you will be on my email. And, oh, if you're looking at this not on my page, then you have to go either to my page, meredithcolby.neurovocal-method, or to my website, meredithcolby.com, and scroll down to the bottom, and then you will get on my mailing list, and I will send this directly to your inbox. I'm Meredith Colby. I help. Oh, wait. Oh, Simona says thank you. Pitch Perfector. Oh, the Pitch Perfector app. Thank you for saying that, Simona. Thank you so much. Yes, she's right. Pitch Perfector is a really good app. The Amazing Slowdowner is a really good app. I just found a great guitar tuning app that I really like, and I can't remember the name of right now. So maybe I should add that to the blog post. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm here every week except not next week, but after next week, every week at this same time, and I hope you will join me again next time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.